Zodiac signs in therapy. Therapy can be a very good way to face our inner problems, fears, and care for our mental health. Although dogma often takes over and many people still see it as a way to treat the crazy, it is a tool for self-recognition that can be very supportive of us building a strong personality, set clear boundaries, and set ourselves free from emotional baggage. This is how different signs of the zodiac accept and react to therapy. Aries. An Aries will visit a therapist when they have already banged their head against the wall way too many times, leading to open displays of anger, all emotions, and speaking their mind with ease. They are open and seemingly productive in every session they have. After a while, it will become clear that their boundaries are set in the middle of a path towards self-discovery, and they'll spin in circles as if incapable to make any new conclusions. The fact is, their fear is impenetrable and unconscious, for they fight their whole life for bravery, and it is not easy to grasp the concept in which things out of their control might swallow their health, their decisiveness, or hurt them in any way. The biggest challenge is to keep them in therapy for long enough to actually make progress. Taurus. Before a Taurus visits a therapist, they'll do everything they can to resolve their problems on their own. When they reach the point of conflict, they'll have trouble handling it and in many cases end up in therapy because of matters of unresolved anger. Passive nature will often keep them in an inert state of constant dissatisfaction until someone gives them a push and directs them towards a therapy couch. They lack initiative to ask for help and often avoid confrontation with pressing matters, out of need to pretend to seem happier than they are. They need a tender person to treat them, someone who will make a personal, friendly contact. A gentle approach with constant, but weak pressure will hold their attention and awaken their stubborn, inert side willing to finally make a change. Gemini. If we are looking for a sign who will try therapy out of curiosity, it would be Gemini. They will gladly go to different therapists, get well informed on different methods and approaches they might be subjected to, and search for solutions to their outer problems within once they find the right person to talk to. However, they tend to seek their conclusions wide rather than deep, and it can be a true challenge for someone to lead them towards the point of one specific solution and self-recognition. Truly difficult with matters of emotional hurt, it will be almost impossible to give them an in-depth discovery for as long as they don't have enough problems to push them over the edge of reason and into their heart. Cancer. We often link other signs such as Scorpio and Capricorn with digging of all kinds, but Cancer is open for digging in their own mind more often than we might think. What they often lack to visit a therapist in the first place is proper motivation, as they don't think any sort of psychological approach will actually help them resolve their issues. Once they start therapy, usually because someone they love pointed them in this direction, they might discover a whole new world of purpose and fulfillment in finally turning their attention from care for others to care for themselves. Turned to emotional and family issues by nature, they get the best results in typical psychotherapy, dealing with issues from childhood and consequences of ways their parents treated them long ago. Leo. Leo representatives go to two extremes when it comes to psychological work of any kind. Either they are convinced that there is nothing wrong with them and there is no reason to ever visit a therapist, or they are curious and confident enough to realize that someone else might make them even better and get them in better touch with their dazzling personality. In therapy, they need to find themselves and discover how to set boundaries to the outer world. Their main problems always hide in wasting their confidence on irrelevant issues and other people. Vulnerable to deceit and matters of Neptune, they need concrete and specific things to talk about, and someone to help them remember their natural strength and creativity without too much mystification, strange conclusions, or changes. Virgo, since Virgo is a sign of all psychosomatic problems, they usually end up in therapy because of health problems that burden them for no obvious, physical reason. They are too smart not to be curious about possible benefits of therapy, and many Virgos will pay for a session or two, or consult on pressing issues out of curiosity rather than necessity. This is a sign that will love to take care of their mental health regularly, and they need a therapist with strong intellect and guidance to keep them interested. Willing to sacrifice at all times, therapy couch is usually a place where they come to pick up some confidence, realize that not everything in life is their fault, and embrace their true possibilities instead of always settling for less. Libra. The best way for a Libra to start therapy is with a partner, simply because their attention often turns to other people and they need a union with someone to turn it to themselves. If they are in therapy alone, they need a professional who will approach them wisely and understand their numerous projections. Their therapist needs to gently lead them towards self-discovery and make them aware of what is theirs and what belongs to other people before any other constructive work on pressing issues is done. Willing to interact, a Libra is someone who will often find it easy to talk to the person standing in front of them. Still, working with them is hard because of their need to project and search for outer influences guilty for their situation. Scorpio. The sign of Scorpio in combination with the sign of Pisces speaks of psychotherapy itself, and representatives of this sign often show interest in many branches of psychology and end up studying and practicing it themselves. The nature of Scorpio pulls them into one point, and in-depth research of any kind will satisfy them greatly. A Scorpio will need to work on emotional recognition and acceptance, learning how to nurture their hearts instead of seeing them as villains who make them damaged. They don't lack initiative or the ability to act, but deeply emotional, they have trouble incorporating how they feel in the equation of life. Therapy with a Scorpio is always exciting and deep, and although resistance won't show very often, when it does, it will seem impossible to penetrate. They get best results from Gestalt therapy, family constellations, and a combination of a Jungian approach with past life regression. Sagittarius. The problem with a Sagittarius lies in their unrealistic expectations, and they will easily be disappointed by therapy or a specific therapist if they expect something that cannot be accomplished in their imagined time scope. On the other hand, their mind seeks diversity, and they don't want to stay on one subject for long, filled with their strong convictions and opinions that sometimes overcome those of a person standing in front of them. If this individual shows their true self, and slowly and thoroughly examines their inner conditions, their exhilaration by success will keep them in therapy for a long time. The biggest problem they have to face is their imaginative world and childish expectations that lead to disappointments hurting them deeply. Capricorn, it is true that each Capricorn likes to dig. It doesn't matter much if the digging occurs on an archaeological site or in their brain, they'll get really excited when they discover something that has been buried in the past. What truly defines a Capricorn is their determination once they set a goal, and if work on their psyche is what they wish to do, there will be nothing stopping them from making incredible progress. Capricorn individuals can be stiff and hard to communicate to, sometimes not too optimistic and with a lack of meaning in their lives. Still, they make the best clients for therapy, ready for the biggest steps towards life improvement once they decide to move on this path. Aquarius. An Aquarius will rarely end up in typical therapeutic sessions, and they'll rather choose Gestalt therapy, roleplay, or an approach mixed with alternative methods of healing. These individuals are curious and open for all sorts of experiments on their psyche, but often have too much intellectual strength and too little patience to find the right therapist. As a representative of a fixed sign, an Aquarius will dedicate to this type of inner work until any problem is solved if they stumble upon a right person and an approach that fits their character. If not, they will see therapy itself through their need for resistance and might approach it with ridicule. Their problems with authority usually sends them on a path of self-discovery, and instead of working with someone else, they will often seek ways to improve their mental state on their own. Pisces. The flow of thoughts in the mind of Pisces is a joy to every therapist who looks for a challenge. They don't lack emotion, curiosity or openness to work on their state, nor do they lack problems to be resolved. All sorts of extremes belong to Pisces, from depression and deep unexplainable sadness, to optimism followed by a tendency to lie, living in an illusion of a magical world they live in. They will easily accept medication even when they don't need any, and in many cases end up in therapy because of different types of dependencies. Working with someone who has their sun in Pisces needs to be primarily organized in a way that will connect them to the material reality and make them see that there is nothing hurtful in the real world they won't be able to handle. With someone able to tie their feet to the ground without endangering their sense of magic, they will blossom.